We move next to Burma, which has seen tremendous changes the past 2 years, including in media. When 16 Burmese newspapers were granted operating licenses on April 1st, they became the first private print dailies allowed to publish in Burma in nearly 50 years.
But the milestone comes amid an outcry over Burma's newly released draft media law, which critics say could roll back government promises to loosen its grip on the long, tightly controlled industry. VOA's Mark Snowiss has been following this, and we asked him to tell us more. Let's check it out.
State-run media controlled the dissemination of hard news, and independent journalists were heavily censored. Many were spied upon, imprisoned, even tortured. The only objective news coverage available was produced by the country's exile media and foreign broadcasters such as the Voice of America, BBC, and Radio Free Asia.
Tell us a little bit about the life of a journalist in Burma. What are their challenges?
Well, the life of a Burmese journalist is changing as we speak, basically. 2 years ago, the military dictatorship basically dissolved itself. Last year in August, they abolished censorship. Print private daily newspapers that had been banned for 50 years, as of April 1st of this year, were allowed to publish. They didn't have dailies because daily newspapers took too much time to censor. They only had weeklies before.
Okay, some of the critics and people in your piece also mentioned this, that first they say that we will allow these dailies to work, and then they come up with this draft law which is going against what they promised. What's exactly going on? Well,
it's hard to throw off old habits, I think. And there was such strong censorship for so long in Burma that the government now came up with this draft media law, which is supposed to enshrine a lot of the new freedoms that they say they want, and they want to build a democracy. But the law, actually, a lot of outside critics say that it's just as repressive as the previous 1962 law that it's supposed to supersede.
So it's like they made this law and they said, no, this law might not work, so let's take it back. But then there was a push, so they're saying that we might just go ahead with that.
Part of what is complicated is that, for example, the law bans any reporting on the government's battles with ethnic rebels. It also bans any critical coverage of the military-drafted constitution. Now, if you look at the first of those two issues, there's fighting going on in the north with Kachin rebels, there's fighting going on in the southwest with the Rohingya. These are minority groups that have deep conflicts with the Buddhist majority, and then you have this new media, some of which is sensationalist, which is playing up and fanning the flames of some of these hatreds, some people's sort of everyday opinions about these ethnic conflicts are getting splashed across the media, and the government is saying, wait, stop, don't publish that. And they're kind of going back into a knee-jerk reaction to, well, we can just solve this problem by censoring everything.
How do the exile media fit into the scenario, the Burmese exile media?
Right. You had different layers of foreign or exile media for the 50 years of the dictatorship. And as far as the Burmese exile media go, the Democratic Voice of Burma was based in Oslo for years. You had Thailand-based and India-based exile groups that were really the main source of information for people who managed to get a hold of that. It was not easy, but they could. Those groups now want to come back.
There are many challenges in Burma, but as far as this draft law is concerned, how does it affect international broadcasters?
International broadcasting, I actually can't really comment on that, but in general, broadcast media is more heavily restricted. The internet is still also quite restricted, even though there's, more people are coming online, and there are projections that by 2015, hundreds of thousands of more people will be connected online. But bloggers are working in Burma, but there's this nebulous, ambiguous situation with certain laws on the books that are still there.
All right, and our thanks to Mark Snowiss for that. Of course, we know Mark will continue to follow Burmese media developments closely, and you, the viewers, can always get the latest at voanews.com.